Hello and welcome to EPG Pathshala, and this is Professor G. Srinivas Reddy, a retired Professor of Public Administration, Kakti University, Warangal, Telangana State. Today we are going to know about the contributions of Douglas McGregor, who is supposed to be an important thinker who has contributed richly to the field of management and administration. Just to place Douglas McGregor in a proper perspective, let me just take you to the evolution of administrative theory or management theory. The management theory and administration theory is marked by different phases. The first phase in the evolution of the theory is called classical theory. The second phase is called neoclassical theory or human relations theory. And the third phase is called behavioral theory. And the fourth phase is called post-behavioral theories. Post-behavioral theories are the fourth phase in the evolution of administrative theories. The post-behavioral theories, some of them are also known as socio-psychological theories. Now, in this phase of the evolution of administrative theory, social psychologists, either sociologists or psychologists, are more commonly the social psychologists have made significant contribution to our understanding of administration and organization from the perspectives of social psychology. Actually, these people have seen organization not merely as an economic or social system. They have viewed this as a social psychological aspect. I think psychology was one field which has made very significant contributions to our understanding to public administration. Truly, public administration is an interdisciplinary subject. What we mean by interdisciplinary is that you want to understand public administration, simply reading textbooks on public administration will not be of entire use. You have to have some grounding in sociology, psychology, economics, political science, law, ethics. Some of these things will try to influence the administrative system. So therefore, the contributions of people like Douglas McGregor have enriched our understanding of public administration and the theory of public administration. With this background, let's see who this Douglas McGregor is, what is his brief biodata, what are his important works, and what is the theory he has spinned off. And at the end, we will have some critical appreciation of the contributions of Douglas McGregor. Douglas McGregor is a leading industrial psychologist of the early 20th century. His full name is Douglas Murray McGregor. He is a household name in the field of management and administration. His interpretations of human nature and human behavior and his understanding of what motivates human behavior is contained in his famous book, The Human Side of Enterprise. His theory is called Theory X and Theory Y. Some students of public administration tend to use this incorrectly as Theory X and Y. This is not correct. Theory X and Theory Y is in essence talking about two theories in the Theory X and Theory Y. McGregor was born in 1906 in Detroit, United States of America, and died in the year 1964. He obtained an engineering degree in mechanical engineering from Rangoon University and obtained his MA and PhD degrees in psychology from the world-renowned Harvard University. He was a professor of management at Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Sloan School of Management. And it may be of interest for Indian students to know that he also worked briefly at IIM Calcutta. He was a contemporary of Abraham Maslow, who has given the need hierarchy theory. His ideas are also influenced by the ideas of Abraham Maslow. The major work of McGregor is the human side of the enterprise. Enterprise here means organization or an administrative body, he's trying to dig deep into the human side of this, not the mechanical side or the technical side of it. He also published another book. Of course, this was published posthumously. For the benefit of students, let me mention posthumously means after his death. He authored it, but it was published later. This was edited by Warren Bennis and Caroline McGregor. And this book, the later book, The Professional Manager, appeared in the year 1967. Douglas McGregor has taken a deep and informed peep into the nature of human beings in the settings of administrative organizations. He says that there are two types of thinking about the human nature, which we call optimistic and pessimistic. Relating this to his theories, he has pinned two theories, one he named as Theory X and the other one as Theory Y. These two theories are nothing but about the assumptions that managers make about human nature. Let me clarify, assumption is what you guess it is about. Assumption about human nature is what you think is human nature. If I ask you, you may say that basically human being is good, you are making a positive assumption. If you say that human beings are bad, you are making a negative assumption. So like ordinary people, even managers also make certain assumptions. They assume. Basically, of course, it's not to say that all managers think that all people are bad or all people are good, but they tend to gravitate to one polar position. By and large, they would think that human beings are employees, in this case, are either good or bad. What McGregor says is, this perception or assumption that human beings make or managers make about the human nature colors their approach to management. If they are optimistic kind of people, assuming that people are good basically, the average employee or worker is good, no, their style of management will be a very liberal style of management, a democratic style of management. If they think human beings are basically bad, they will have an autocratic style of management. Theory Y symbolizes democratic side of management, approach to management. Theory X symbolizes autocratic approach to management. In addition to, I think we will come to some of these assumptions and their implications a little later. Before that, let us also capture another important contribution of Douglas McGregor. Douglas McGregor does not agree with the classical principles of administration. He finds fault with them and he tries to find the reason as to why they went wrong. He was perhaps talking about the context of industry, but the basic classical theory was developed by people taking excessively examples from military and church. And industrial organizations are a lot different from the organizations such as church and the military. So therefore, because of the wrong basis, the principles may have been wrong. This is one of the opinions aired by him. Second important criticism McGregor makes against the classical theory is the ethnocentrism. Ethno means self, centrism means centeredness. Ethnocentrism is a tendency to think one's own system as the best system. So therefore, the classical thinkers, having been trained in the Western industrial settings, saw things that they were doing as good and all that. Therefore, they tried to somewhat rationalize or glorify those systems. And finally, the classical theory is faulted by McGregor about their falsified assumptions about human behavior. The classical theory has postulated a kind of theory X proposition that basically human beings are bad. Therefore, there is need for principles. There is need for tight control. There is need for unity of command. Some of these things are the offshoots of the kind of erroneous thinking. That's what McGregor claims. Therefore, he has done more research into the real basis of motivation and the real assumptions managers make, and he has come forward with the book The Human Side of Enterprise, which dilates on the theory X and theory Y. As I was mentioning, both these theories, theory X and theory Y, is basically the assumptions managers make about human nature. Therefore, what McGregor thinks is there are some managers who are of theory X type. There are certain other managers who are of theory Y type, basically. Now, what kind of assumptions theory X managers or pessimistic managers make? The first assumption is people dislike work and therefore they try to avoid it. So there is no inherent or natural liking of an average employee to do the work. Work is kind of burden placed on their head. So therefore they try to shirk the responsibility, evade the work, and they resort to use a proper management expression, soldering. Soldering is a kind of activity where you pretend as if you are doing, actually you are not doing. You want to fool the manager as a worker, that you appear as if you are doing, because you get paid for working, but you are not seriously working. You are not really working. You are just pretending. This pretension is because of the basic distaste or dislike for the work. Secondly, average human being. I think these assumptions are about average human beings, not about every worker. The second assumption of average human being is human beings, by and large, don't have ambition. And they don't want to have responsibility. And they would therefore like to follow rather than lead. If somebody has to lead, somebody has to be leadership, there is an extra onus, responsibility on him. So since you don't have ambition, why invite more work? Just do, and do the way somebody tells, and don't take things on your head. The third basic assumption about human nature made by theory X type of managers is the workers or employees are basically self-centered. Self-centered means they bother about themselves. They are here only to help themselves, not for helping the organization. So therefore, they don't care much about organization. They care all the time about themselves, how to subserve their personal interest. Yet another assumption these people make is human beings generally resist change. People fear the unknown. People don't want changes all the time coming. Change sometimes brings in disruption. Change forces you to change your style of working, your method of working. It means some extra work for you. And that may be something which is not to your liking. So therefore, people tend to resist change. And finally, people are gullible and are not particularly intelligent. Gullible people are those who are easily misled. Even if something is not going to harm you, somebody will tell you, don't associate with that thing or that person. He is very dangerous. He may not be really dangerous, but you take the word as truth and you follow that fellow. So sometimes we say such people are innocent, that they cannot see the motivation of the other fellow. The fellow is fooling you, but you're not able to see through what that man is. He is trying to teach you, but you're not able to understand that. So this is the nature of human being. Based on these assumptions, theory X managers, now because they have a particular understanding, that is, People dislike work, there is no ambition, they are self-centered, they don't work for organization, they don't want change to come, and they are gullible. So if this is the nature, if this is the kind of nature of a average human being or an employee or employees in general, so what type of actions the Theory X managers take? They follow what is known as Theory X approach, which means since the fellows are indolent, don't like work, lazy and all that, you have to rely on coercion. You should force people to do work. You should not allow them freedom. And you should hold out threats because they are so lazy, they are having lack of ambition. So whatever you do, they will not work. So therefore, you give some threats, hold out threats, saying that you will be dismissed, you will be fired, you will have some loss. Even then, some people don't move. What do? You have to see their work all the time. This is what is close supervision. Okay, 100 times you tell the fellow does not come round. Just sit on the head, be after him, chase him, see what exactly he is doing. Every minute you are tightly controlling him. And therefore you are creating an environment of command and control. You are all the time asking them, not giving them any freedom, because you think that they are not intelligent. They do not know. They don't have ambition. They are lazy fellows. Therefore, only way out you think is that you should be sitting on the head of the fellow. You should tell him, you should not give him any freedom. You should give him punishments and all that. So therefore, this approach of the managers is known as hard approach. Contrary to this theory, why managers follow a soft approach. We will come to that a little later. So the soft approach is a permissive approach. Permissive approach in the sense that freedom is given to everybody. And this approach believes that harmony will not come unless employees are jettisoned. Employees are made to do things through harsh commands. You have to give a strict direction and control. And your motivation is the negative motivation. You have to hold out threats for the fellows. And Theory X people also think that one of the good motivators is money. Such people will be made to act, get motivation if you pay money. People who are narrow-minded, self-centered, value money. People who are otherwise, people who are soft-natured, people who like work, people who are responsible, no, they may not bother about money so much. Good image, good reputation, recognition, never. So therefore, this Theory X is viewing human nature. If you just compare McGregor with Maslow, let me just remind, Abraham Maslow talked about 5 types of needs. The lower order needs, middle order needs and higher order needs. The lower order needs are physiological and security needs. Theory X people, to borrow language of Maslow, they think that human needs are lower order needs. They don't think that human beings have other kinds of needs also. So they have a limited understanding of the human nature. So this is all about Theory X assumptions. The managerial actions, if somebody follows Theory X, and the name of this approach is known as hard approach. So now we see the other kind of approach. Theory Y is alternative assumptions about human nature. Theory Y type of managers are optimists. They think human beings are good, and because of that, they think that the average human nature is like the following. Number 1, workers think work is as natural as play and rest. Now all of us would love to play, provided an opportunity, leisure is there, we can afford, we feel happy playing because play gives us relaxation, happiness and all that. So Theory Y type of managers think that it's not that workers evade work. Work is what is work. It's not no big deal. It is something like play. As you enjoy playing, workers also enjoy working. There is something known as work satisfaction, job satisfaction. So these are the kind of images that Theory Y people think of. The secondly, they believe that human beings are self-directed. self-directed people are those who do not want to take orders from everybody. And therefore, they try to be smart and active. If you are not smart, active, dull and passive, sitting idle, there is a chance that somebody may fault you. You will have to hear some bad things, bad comments about you. You don't want to give chance to anybody. So therefore, you want to self-direct yourself. You want to direct yourself in such a way that you perform the job well, so that nobody else would show a finger at you. And thirdly, the theory-wide people seek responsibility. It's not that like theory X managers thinking workers evade responsibility. These people think that theory Y managers think that workers seek responsibility. It's something like saying, sir, I finished the work you assigned. Can I do anything more? This is the typical theory Y kind of employee. Whereas theory X employee, he finishes the work and he will be sleeping pretty and may not be telling the manager that he has completed the work 2 hours before or 3 hours before. The entire day is without work. He will never tell because he wants to, enjoy the leisure and he is not bothered about organizational interest. So he thinks that taking rest is helping himself. And another important assumption or postulate of theory Y is that people seek responsibility. It's not that people evade responsibility, shirk responsibility, but people seek responsibility. This is the thinking of theory Y type of managers. And another and the last major point theory Y type of managers hold or assumption they make is that there is no serious contradiction between the individual goals and the organizational goals. They see a kind of harmony because people are responsible, people like work, and people are committed to organization, and therefore there is no contradiction between personal interest and the organizational interest. Following from this, they have number of prescriptions. These prescriptions, theory X managers think human nature is bad. Therefore, they have strong arm techniques or hard approach. Theory Y managers hold a soft approach. They think soft approach is better than hard approach. It's better because of the human nature they think is positive, responsible, they like work, they enjoy work, they think work is like play, they're responsible, and they don't think that they have to make everything for themselves. They have to serve the organization as well as serve themselves. So based on this, theory Y managers' approach is coming out, and we will see the details of this approach. Theory Y type of managers having a soft approach will believe in the virtue of decentralized organization. There should not be too much of centralization of authority. Theory X type of managers think there should be centralization because all the subordinates, most of the subordinates are irresponsible. They don't take interest in work, they don't meet the schedules, and they don't bother about organization. Therefore, they want centralization. Here, these people say that it's better to decentralize. Decentralization leads to more productivity because people know what they have to do. So therefore, trust them, decentralize. And following from this, they would also like to have lesser number of layers in the organization. This is what is known as delayering. There may be lowest level employee and highest level employee, and between them there are so many cadres. What it means is, a fellow at the lowest level, to get the top CEO job or director job, he has to get 10 different promotions. So there is a lot of distance between the top level fellow and lowest level fellow, and lowest level fellow may think that it is not possible in his lifetime to go up the ladder and occupy the higher position. So this will be definitely demotivating. So what theory Y type people advocate is delayering or reduce the levels. So the lowest level fellow is also capable, he is also responsible. He should have opportunities of growth to go up. And these opportunities of growth will motivate him to perform in a superior way, contributing to the organizational goals. And one more thing they think is, the theory Y makes two very pertinent prescriptions to motivate the employees. One is known as employee empowerment. The other one is known as employee engagement. Employee empowerment is giving lower level fellows higher level responsibilities. Giving a responsibility normally not given to them, if you give, the lower level fellow will feel that the boss has a lot of trust in him and he has to prove that he is also trustworthy. He wants to raise up and come up to the expectations of the boss because the boss has trusted him too much. So therefore he has to see that his trust is not misplaced. He has to prove the trust. So this is the way the junior employees, lower level employees are given higher level responsibilities. They are allowed to take decisions without consultation. Maybe they would commit some mistakes, but by committing mistakes, they will understand the nuances of the work, how to do better and all that. Ultimately, they shape up. This is a better way of training or grooming employees than keeping them tightly under control and telling A to Z what exactly has to be done. This is the idea of theory Y. Theory Y also suggests what is known as employee engagement also. Theory Y type of managers, or even Douglas McGregor, let me just make a mention. Douglas McGregor thinks that theory Y is a more valid theory than theory X. Theory Y type of managers are more right than theory X type of managers. So one more thing, that is this soft approach or theory Y type managers approach is the task of employee engagement. Employee engagement is giving an employee a variety of tasks, different kinds of tasks. I think it's in the human nature that there is something that the works can be of two types: monotonous work and variety work. Now there is some employee who is doing the same thing all over every day, from morning to evening, rest of his life, all 365 days and all the years of his life, he is doing the same thing. Definitely this leads to boredom. This leads to fatigue. This leads to lack of interest. Somebody would say, "Why I am doing the same thing so many years? What is the use of this? I don't have any opportunity to do something else." So you get sick of the work. This is where theory Y type of managers make a prescription that employees' work should be having a lot of variety. Change of work gives you, that there is a saying, leisure, some people define as change of work rather than absence of work. Generally we think somebody is enjoying leisure means he is sitting pretty and not doing anything. But according to some management writers, leisure is changing work rather than sitting idle. And perhaps one can realize that if you are doing some work, if you are bored, you just change the work and there is a fresh bout of energy coming from you. This happens because if you are doing the same work, same body faculties are exercised. Maybe you are seeing or you are writing, you are lecturing, you are doing the same thing, lecturing, seeing, writing. I think you stop writing, start lecturing, stop lecturing, start reading. I think this is kind of change of work will give you some freshness and a fresh air, and it will relax you because you are using certain other parts of the body. This is the secret of work change. And variety of work gives encouragement and enthusiasm to the people, because if you are bored with some work, go and take up some other work and you are all the time busy and the productivity will increase. And it also advocates that employees should be involved in decision making. Something like Peter Drucker's management by objectives. Involve lower level employees in decision making. Theory X type people don't recommend this because they don't know anything. They don't have interest. They're not hardworking. They don't take responsibility. Now, this is an alternative postulation of the human nature. Well, they like work, they want to be responsible, they're active, so therefore trust them. They're serious minded and they're interested in organizational welfare also. They think that only if the organization welfare is there, individual welfare is there. Therefore, it's important to involve them, make them take decisions so that eventually they grow to higher positions. By taking decisions, right or wrong, sometimes you will learn from that. So there is a kind of work, training coming on the job. So these are all the prescriptions of the theory Y managers, or theory Y makes these prescriptions. And finally, coming to employee evaluation also, they will recommend self-evaluation as a major method of evaluation. Theory X recommends boss appraisal. So boss should appraise what the subordinate is doing. Because the subordinate is not trustworthy, he may inflate the assessment. He will say that he will write all goody things about himself. But if this theory Y people think that since human beings are good, why not to trust them? They will honestly say what they are doing. They will honestly realize what their deficiencies are there. So therefore, in appraisal, employee appraisal, theory Y recommends self-appraisal more than the boss appraisal or other kinds of appraisals. So these are in short the assumptions of theory X and theory Y, and the actions made by theory X type of managers and theory Y type of managers. Let me just summarize. This is Douglas McGregor has given a beautiful and a fascinating, illuminating theory about human nature. It says it has a comprehensive view of human nature. This theory X and theory Y, is not taking one-sided view of the human nature. It says that there are two types of managers, there are two types of employees, and it is saying theory Y is more correct, even while not completely disputing theory X. So this is in short the theory X and theory Y of Douglas McGregor. Now we come to a little short appraisal or assessment of this particular theory. Theory X and theory Y of Douglas McGregor has had a profound effect on 20th century management thinking and practice. It has led to numerous innovations in human resource management practices, like the ones I have just mentioned: employees engagement, employee empowerment. These have led the organizations forward and led to tremendous surge in productivity of the organizations. McGregor's book on human side of the enterprise is rated as the fourth most influential book on management in the entire 20th century. And this contribution of McGregor is counterposed to the contribution of F.W. Taylor. F.W. Taylor has postulated theory X type of human nature. It has recommended for scientific management practices some principles of scientific management, largely taking a mechanistic view of the human nature. Now this theory has made some necessary correctives to that, and therefore this theory has received widespread attention both in public administration as well as private administration. Current day industry is, lot of practices are adopted by current day industry using the ideas and prescriptions of Douglas McGregor. So therefore Douglas McGregor has an important place among thinkers in the galaxy of administrative thinkers. Thank you.